My dear students, ladies and gentlemen, my dear professional managers, how are you feeling today when we are just ready to get a hands-on feeling that how we develop these competencies and skills which will make you an effective manager. You may call yourself a leader, but the management skills which are required for the organizations in Pakistan and around the world while dealing with customers and clients in different markets of the world. That is what we have been discussing. What are the different models? How different cultures around the world look at these skills and come up with a set of those skills which maybe you can call as if a set of skills which are required for the MBAs, managers working for the profit sector, not for the profit sector, government sector, voluntary organizations, depending upon their working in family, with the friends, in the market, in the mosque, in the church. And remember, we said in the first session that the premise of this course is that we would like to learn those skills which will be not only required in the professional organizations, but rather they are important in your own life. That is why we like to know a knowledge which you can call cognitive knowledge, conceptual knowledge, knowledge which is required for that particular skill. Then, what is the attitude which is required? So you can come up with a behavior which really, when is seen and felt by the people you interact with, as if they feel you are a professional. And then, let's not forget, a desire has to be there, an ambition has to be there, that I like to compete, I like to collaborate. Working with peers and colleagues, working with clients and consumers and customers, working with suppliers and vendors, depending upon wherever you are. देखिए, छोटे शहरों में भी कुछ आपकी कंपनी के सप्लायर होंगे, कुछ इवन आपके फैमिली फ्रेंड्स होंगे, कुछ आपको सर्विसेज दे रहे होंगे, कुछ को आप सर्विसेज दे रहे होंगे, कुछ को आप डिलीवर कर रहे होंगे. So this interaction with people, remember that's what we said, people skill. Book smart, conceptual knowledge, cognitive intelligence, IQ. Yes, it's required. Your grades are important. Cognitive skill, cognitive intelligence. But emotional intelligence, people intelligence, social intelligence, interpersonal intelligence. How do I have to behave in the given situation? And then when you speak of people, cultures are different, languages are different, norms are different, values are different, skill sets are different, hierarchy is different, markets are different. How am I going to learn these skills? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. And as we go on, I'll share with you, for example, what is that competing values framework? The framework which is given by Professor Quinn, a framework which is shared and exercised by looking at the thousands of managers across continents, that what is that skill set, managerial skill set and leadership skill set which is required for people working in the organizations, for managers like you and me, so that we can be effective and efficient in the life, in the family, among the friends, among the community, and also in the organizations. So are you ready then to move on, learn this skill set, practice them, have a hands-on feeling, and be an effective manager, a professional Pakistani manager, a professional global manager. Learn the knowledge at the globe, act at the local level, be a successful person, be a successful manager in the 21st century. Are you ready then? Let's learn some more concept, and then let's try to come with some understanding how are we going to move now when we go and look into so many different skills. How we group them, what we call management skills, what we call leadership skills, and why we are differentiating them and why we are putting them together, because we need all of them. We said knowledge, skill set, attitude and desire, KSA. Sometimes people will call ability of you. Sometimes people will call ambition of you. Are you ready to take over? Are you ready to move on? Well, to move on, first you need to have some knowledge, conceptual knowledge, cognitive intelligence, yes. Marketing knowledge, cognition. Operational knowledge, cognitive. IT knowledge, brand knowledge, competitors knowledge, suppliers knowledge, Asian knowledge, South Asian knowledge, Chinese market knowledge, North American market knowledge. That's all cognitive knowledge required for the function you're working with. But skills are those where we learn how to do it. And then why we need to know it, and what is the significance of this skill. Driving is a skill. I think you will agree with me. Some drivers are excellent, very careful, looking at the dashboard, looking at the pass mirror, looking at the side mirror, looking in the back mirror, looking in the windscreen, so active, dynamic, very careful, very safe, very professional. He or she could be a very good driver on the motorway, an excellent driver on the highway, and if it's a city street, he knows or she knows when to slow down, when to accelerate, how to adjust, when a tangawala will come, when the cycle will come, and when the ready will come, how I'm going to adjust my speed so that I can be a successful driver. That's skill. And some of those who have the skill, they are efficient and effective drivers. So this is driving a car. Same is the case driving an organization, driving a family. So do you know when to speak and when to listen? Do you know when to sit down, when to stand up for your own rights? Do you know when to get information and when to give information? Do you know when to differ and differ with respect? And do you know when you have to use empathy and listen to the difference of opinion? And remember, in marketing we learn you can win an argument with customer, but you can lose the heart of the customer. So learning when to lose the argument and not to lose the heart is leadership. We need to learn it. But while working in the organizations, we have to be short-term focus and long-term focus. Short-term focus, transactional focus, operational focus is management skill. So that's why I'm saying we need both. But once we have the knowledge, we learn these skills, we have the ability to move on, it will become our behavior and mindset. And this mind share and the heart share, two skills, mind share and the heart share, will give you a better share in the market of your colleagues, of your peers, of the professional managers, not only in Pakistan, but even when you sit in a multinational company. even when you sit in a SATE-oriented company, people will realize here we have a person, a manager, who is flexible, adaptable, good enough to adjust body language, to adjust the tone of the communication, to adjust to speak confidently, assertively, but supporting the interest of the organization. This means it's an art as well as science. But the purpose is that we learn these skills so we can improve yours and mine. Remember, I'm also a manager, managing the class, managing the students, managing the colleagues. Some of those colleagues are lecturers and assistant professors in the university, associate professors. Some of them are professors like me, my colleagues. And working as a dean of the business school, I have to deal with the deans, not only in Pakistan, around the world. And speaking of the deans, I was sitting in a meeting where the deans of the business school of the world were attending a conference. And the two deans sitting next to me were from Australia. And after 3 hours or so, when we got interaction and felt a relationship, professional relationship, we had some common agenda. And you know, on the second day, the dean of the business school from one university in Australia, he asked me, Rashid, can you come in Australia and teach a course in MBA? An opportunity is coming. The way you deal with your colleagues, an opportunity is coming. And remember, when an opportunity comes, an idea emerges, money will follow. If somebody is calling you to teach a course, if somebody is calling you to sell your idea, if somebody is calling you to deliver the services, you don't have to ask whether he will pay or not. Market will pay. Customers will pay. All what is required is, do you have that competency? So my dear students, competency is the skill set. It's a set of interrelated skills. Skills about me, how I'm going to manage myself, how I'm going to enhance myself. We will learn self-awareness, competencies and skills to learn how I can be socially competent, dealing with others, interpersonal skills. And then working in teams. I cannot do everything on my own. Remember the definition of manager? I need to know how to get work done with the others, through the others, and while they are following you and doing your work, doing your agenda, following your guidelines. And excellent is the manager who can win the hearts and the minds and the bodies of the people working in his team. So this is a management competency set. More you increase this set, more you increase this number, more successful you will be. अच्छा, अब आप ये कहेंगे कि MBA करने के फौरन बाद जब हम एग्जेक्टिव और ऑफिसर की पोजीशन में किसी तहसील लेवल, डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, बैंक में, किसी गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, किसी टेक्सटाइल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम कर रहे हैं, तो डू वी नीड द लीडरशिप स्किल्स? यस. Management skill and leadership skill has to go together. Sometime you have to lead yourself. There are constraints, there are barriers. There are market entry barriers. There are market sales barrier. You have the stock is full, but the market is not ready to buy. How are you going to package and present your deal that you find a customer, and customer could come from anywhere in the world? So that is why I'm mentioning again and again, my dear students, think global, act local. Sitting in Pakistan, you need to learn, I need to learn, we need to learn that we can interact with Australians, We can interact with Spanish. We can interact with North Americans. We can interact with South Americans. We can interact with Chinese and, of course, Asians. So are there different ways of doing it? Well, yes. There are certain fundamental skills we need to match. Match with our own skill set so that we can be successful. So in this course then, we will begin some of those matching skills, moving on to the self-related skills, personal skills, and then on the way to the interpersonal and social skills, and then group-based skills, team-based skills, which you require at the organizational level. And putting them all together, let's not forget technology is changing, markets changing, styles are changing, fashions are changing, and sometimes changing so rapidly that your knowledge may not cope with it. So that's why we are learning the model, a competing framework model given by Quinn, which is a blend of management skill and the leadership skills, used and exercised by thousands and thousands of managers around the continents. So Asia is part of this discussion. Asia is part of this managerial skill set, interrelated competency set. And we like to make sure that although we are located in Pakistan, although we may be in Nowshera, Mardan, or Quetta, or Karachi, or Peshawar, and Islamabad, and Lahore, we may be in Sheikhupura, and Faisalabad, and Chichawatni, and Mian Channu, and Nawab Shah. Organizations are everywhere. We may be working for a non-government organization, and many of them in Cholistan, in Balochistan, in FATA, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And when you are working for NGOs, many times you are interacting with international agencies, donor agencies, funding agencies, granting agencies, North Americans, Canadians, Norwegians, Germans. What are those common set of values which you need to make sure while interacting with them, so you can have confidence in you while providing those services which makes you as a Pakistani manager proud enough, confident enough that this donor agency, this granting agency, or even this service-seeking organization around the world feel comfortable, feel professional while interacting with the Pakistani manager. So this personal improvement means an effective manager who is using his cognitive intelligence, IQ, and blended with it social intelligence, emotional intelligence, but developing IQ and EQ, needing book smart mindset and street smart mindset, requiring management skills and the leadership skills. In other words, managerial competence, cognitive competence, and emotional and social competence. This will require that you must be competent at the personal level. You must be competent at the social level. People speak in front of you good about you. Customers speak in absence about you, appreciating you, acknowledging your service, giving good words about you. And remember, when somebody gives good word of mouth about you, don't you think that you have a higher level of moving in the career? Better chances of promotion? Maybe enhancement in your career from the tehsil level to the district level, to the regional level, to the country level. I've seen Pakistani managers, young people like you coming from villages, developing this skill set, leading multinational organizations, becoming country manager in Pakistan, moving on to the Middle East and to the Europe. Many of them I have seen. So Pakistani managers, my dear students, ladies and gentlemen, people like you, are no less than any other manager, except that we learn those skills, we practice them. We have an empathy. We have knowledge enough, good enough, where and how, what is required, and with whom I'm speaking, and how do I have to speak. That's why personal competence gives you self-management. Social competence gives you relationship management. Self-management and relationship management. That's all. Remember relationship marketing? Remember CRM? Remember suppliers management? Remember logistics management? Remember supply chain management? The product moves from left to right. Information, and of course the money. And remember, this is information economy, and information brings money. Information moves from right to left. And you know what kind of skill set is required when the product is moving from left to right, supplier to customer, and when the information and finance is moving from right to left, from consumers and customers, may it be the feedback, may it be the profit, may it be the word of mouth. But having a holistic view, and speaking of holistic, that brings me to a point, yin and yang. These are the two half sets giving you a holistic picture. That's what they call it in Chinese. Soho.com. Dr. Zhang, who is the chairman and founder of Soho.com, provided the Chinese search engine, and think of the Chinese market and how he became the leader of the market. But he says from 1995 to 2011, in the last 16 years, Chinese market have changed. So Western values are not the only values which you can say are universal. Remember now, Western values are coming in contact with the Chinese values. And Chinese have a long history. Think of the China Wall, how many hundreds of years it took to build the wall. And I'm sure you have taken the course on business strategy and policy, or maybe you will take it. Think of the policy of the China when they were making this wall, a project which is being planned for hundreds of years, and there is no break in the project. That's the long-term view of the China. So Western values coming in contact with the Chinese values. How are they going to be interacted? That China could have a win-win situation, and so can the Western companies. That is what I expect from you, that you learn these management skills, so you interact at the global level, at the local level, with different suppliers and vendors and customers and providers, and you become a solution provider, a Pakistani manager, a manager representing a company with a kind of skill set customers and managers and the other people will appreciate. So speaking of the effective manager, my dear students, and speaking of emotional competence based on self-management and relationship management, it is required, of course, it is required in the market, it is required at home, it is required everywhere. But then it creates a stress. Which one is required? What kind of skill is required? When and where? That's why you should be competent at the personal level, how we manage ourselves. And social competence means how we manage our relationships. Relationship with father and mother, parents. Relationship with brothers and sisters. Remember? Family. Relationship with friends, relationship with colleagues, relationship with community, community of engineers, community of marketeers, community of management professionals, and community of consumers. Let's not forget social community. And think of it, how much force is being created while you are networked through the social websites, through the social networks, through the social channels, and how much revenue can you bring when you sell a product of your company through your social network, because all what's required is how effective, how influencer, how negotiator, how conflict handler, good quality manager you are. So far, what we are learning then is cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence, self-management and relationship management. And when we talk of the organization, team management, change management, that's all different types of skills we have to learn, and learn in such a way that when you are at the officer and executive level, you are effective. When you become a team lead or maybe head of the department, अच्छा फिर इसमें एज की भी रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है. I know many companies, especially the multinational, the Asian companies, where all what they're looking is how competent you are technically, conceptually, how competent you are to deal with the people and the members of the team. They put you head of the team. So we are looking here, how are we going to blend the social and the personal and the organizational competencies, putting together in a set of skills that I and you, all of us, could be an effective manager. Because these management skills are the building blocks making us effective in the management position as well as in the leadership position. And when we look at the effectiveness, and speaking of the management position and the leadership position, this means we have to focus on both of them. So in other words, the management skills and the leadership skills, they make a good manager and a good leader. Of course, the set of skills may be different. And we will see in a minute that what are the management skills you need to learn and what are the leadership skills, and how you have to take them both in your skill set, in your personal set, that in today's organizations, the employees, the managers, people like you and me, we become an effective manager and an effective leader. So both sets of skills are required when you speak of management and leadership. और ये जो competing value framework की मैंने बात की, Professor Quinn, an authority in the leadership and management area of research, you may speak of the organization behavior, you may speak of organization theory, or you may speak in general organization management. That how can you increase the performance of the organization? How can you increase the performance of the teams? How can you increase the performance in the market? And we are entering into a market which is highly customized, one-on-one, relationship-oriented, service-oriented. And we are entering in terms of technology into cloud computing. So in cloud computing, when the software is becoming a service, when the platform is becoming a service, when the network is becoming a service, how could I be at the personal level a service provider? Remember, in service economy, having the service mindset, good enough and able enough to carry these skills to perform the polka function as well as the new paradigms of management. Making sure that the product is designed and developed on the basis of the feedback from the market and delivered on time and brings prosperity for you, at the personal level and profitability for the organization, for the investors, for the stakeholders, for the shareholders. So the book value of the company goes up and it becomes so market valuable company that when the market share goes up, when the market value of the company goes up, managers like you are the one who are looked after, who are sought after, who are required to be switched over to the organizations. The organizations would like to pay you better salary, better benefits, and you are ready to contribute and deliver on the basis of your skill set. Conceptually, professionally, socially, emotionally, relationship based, all of together, you can handle the machines, you can drive the machine, you can also make the passengers, the consumers, the customers, the clients, the colleagues happy when they interact with you. That's an effective manager. That's an efficient manager. That's why management and leadership has to go together. Let's first focus on the basis of those 40,000 plus managers using the competing value framework of Quinn used by Cameron, and that is the book we are using in this course. I'll show you this book in a minute, written by Kim Cameron and David Wheaton. And using this framework, doing a research, hundreds of skills, but what are those 9 set of skills which are required by effective managers? Thinking globally, acting locally. And please notice, skill number 1 at the top, verbal communication, including listening. When you speak, do people listen to you? When you sell a product or idea, our customers and consumers are willing to spend some time to listen to you? Verbal communication. And when we speak of verbal communication, let's not forget non-verbal communication. What is your body language? How are you looking into the eyes respectfully? How are you taking care of the genders when you're looking at males or females? How are you looking at the boss and the top management and when you're talking to the peers and colleagues? Your eye movement tells a lot. How do you communicate that you support the customers and consumers and the community and the colleagues and the organization and the shareholders? Sportive communication. And how do you listen? And listen with empathy. Listen when you do not agree. Listen when you don't have time to listen. How do you develop this patience? How do you develop this passion? But research tells us, using this framework, 40,000 managers across the continents, including Pakistan, is telling us verbal communication is skill number 1. And my dear students, if this is your weak area, that is why we are calling developing management skills. If this is an area where you need some brush up, you need some enhancing up, you need to attend some course like this. You need to listen to people who can improve your communication skills. Written communication, verbal communication, non-verbal communication. And listening is also a communication. When you go higher up in management, those of you who might be branch managers in banks, those of you who may be principals and headmasters and deans, those of you who are the team leads, those of you who might be working in community organizations where you have a group of 6, 7, 10, and 50 people working with you. How do you listen to them? That's an important skill. Number 2, managing time and stress. अच्छा बाजुका टाइम की वजह से स्ट्रेस आ जाता है, So when the situation is stressful, when the word which are coming from customer and consumer are tough and rough, when the boss is becoming nasty with you, अच्छा, nasty bosses होते हैं? Think of it. So how are you going to deal? Now, people are of different types. We will learn about different types of people. But when somebody is nasty to you, you don't have to be nasty. How can you compose yourself? How can you manage yourself that people don't look towards you as if you're losing your respect in the eyes of the people who are watching you? Because when two voices are going up, people watch everybody. And they have a difficulty to realize who is the boss and who is the subordinate, who is the senior, who is the junior, who is the officer, who is the head of the department, who is a country manager, and who is just a new entering manager. That is where you need to manage the stress. Now, stress could be because of the profits. Stress could be because of the low sales. Stress could be because the technology is not helping. Stress could be of the family. Stress could be on the road. Stress could be because of the time. How do we manage and manage in such a way that we don't burn the blood? Manage in such a way that we don't create ulcer. We don't have high blood pressure. It's a competitive market, but competing and not having a high blood pressure, that is what the skill you need to learn. We'll move into it. Managing individual decisions, taking responsibility, taking risks, taking entrepreneurial way of doing things within the organization, within the market. The fourth out of 9, fourth is recognizing, defining, and solving problems. Companies need, families need, communities need managers who can solve problems. Motivating and influencing others. Motivating and influencing others. And speaking of motivating, आपने theories of motivation पढ़ी होंगी. Motivating them extrinsically, motivating them intrinsically. Motivating them with carrot, motivating them with stick. Motivating through the body, motivating through the mind, motivating through the heart. And how about if you motivate the spirit and influence them? Influence them in such a way that your only one order is good enough. You don't have to repeat the orders. Setting goals and articulating a vision. अब आप कहेंगे, setting a vision is the job of the leader. Well, articulating a vision is the job of the manager. Whatever the vision has been set for the department, for the company, for the market, how do you articulate? How do you set those goals and achieve those targets? That is the job of the manager. Self-awareness. How can you manage self, yourself? How can you enhance self? How can you protect your self-esteem? How can you identify yourself among different managers of the world? That you have an identity, that you are a Pakistani manager. Remember, I was sharing with you the team of the United Nations I was sitting in, where the managers and the professors and people were from different countries. Countries of Europe, countries of North America, countries of Asia. Self-concept and self-confidence and knowing you. And let's recall that Johari window you might have studied in OB. But you must be self-aware. It's a very important skill. Team building and delegating. Again, a management skill. And the last set of skill in this set of skills, managing conflict. Conflicts are everywhere. At home, on the street, in the market. Conflict between quality people and operation people, production people. Conflict between the design people and the production people. Conflict between the sales people and the brand people. Conflict between the accounting and finance people and the marketing people, very well known. conflict between the HR people and the production people. How do you manage this? And manage constructively. So you learn these skills, and as we go in the course, we take on these skills. We will learn the content and the concept. We will learn why these are important. And then, what is your skill level at this point in time when you're taking this course? And what are the weak areas? By reading certain cases, by using certain instruments, how can you measure, say, your level of handling the stress? Say, your level of dealing with multinational cultures? Say, your level of handling the stressful situation, conflicting situation, people not listening and you want to influence them. So we will go through various types of instruments. We would like to measure your management skill, leadership skill. We like to find out where you are, and then we will suggest how can you practice them through certain activities that you improve. Because naturally, it has to be you. It has to be the students. It has to be the learners, ladies and gentlemen, the managers, the executives, the officers. Number one, knowing the weakness. Number two, transforming the weakness into strength. Number three, looking at the opportunities and making sure threats will always be there. SWOT analysis कर दिया ना मैंने, but this is SWOT analysis of you and me. वो भी उतना ही important है जितना आप SWOT analysis organization का करते हैं, markets का करते हैं. And speaking of the management skill, let's not forget the leadership skills. 7 seeds of effective leadership. Remember, I was talking about competing value framework, management skills, and the leadership skills given by Professor Quinn. And please read his papers. See if you can find his book, because the model given by him or the book written by Professor Warren Bennis or Professor Peffer, or this book which I'm using in this course, because this book is used in many universities around the world in a course like this, developing management skill and developing leadership skills. But 7 seeds of effective leadership, according to Professor Quinn, number 1, you must embody a vision of the common good. You should have your personal vision, and you should know how to develop a vision statement of the company, of your team, of the department. Envision the productive community. Productive community. How can you do it? How the community will take you as a leader. Third seed of effective leadership is, according to Professor Quinn, first look within. Look into yourself. अपने मन में डूब कर पाजा सुरागे जिंदगी. That's what Iqbal said. Same thing. Coming from the West. Same thing said by Allama Iqbal in East. Persians and Iranis and Arabians and Middle Eastern and Asians, they're looking towards the philosophy of Iqbal. अपने मन में डूब कर. First look within. Look into yourself. पाजा सुरागे जिंदगी. Secret of life. How can you be successful? That's what Allama Iqbal says. तू अगर मेरा नहीं बनता न बन, अल्लाह के बंदे अपना तो बन. First look within. It's a leadership skill. Transcend the fear. Do you want to drive them through fear, or do you want to drive them through love? That's your choice. Disturb the system, and don't disturb them every day and every week or every month. Disturb them, change them, improve them, innovate them. And remember, when you're disturbing the system, marketing system, sales system, HR system, improvement system, quality system, whatever system, family system, friendship system, relationship system, you disturb in such a way that either you disturb the system or you disturb the team. Do not, please, that's my learning, do not disturb the both at the same time. Disrupt the system means improve it, change it, make it from centralization to decentralization, make it from vertical reporting to horizontal reporting, make it from centralized structure to matrix structure of the projects. जो भी आप करना चाह रहे हैं. But when you disturb the system, do not disturb the people. When you want to disturb the people, you want to rotate the people, don't disturb the system. That's my learning. Surrender to the emergent process. That's, according to Quinn, is one of the very effective seed. अच्छा फिर देखिए, seed means when you sow the seed, you will reap the flowers and the fruits. और seed जब आप sow करते हैं, आपको नहीं मालूम कि इसमें से plant और fruit और flower निकलेंगे या नहीं. लेकिन लीडर है, उसकी नजर में है, उसकी विजन में है, how big the flower will be, when we will get the results, what market share we will have, because he is or she is confident. Or seventh seed given by Professor Quinn is entrust your team through moral power. I know you have positional power, but he's talking about moral power. He's talking about personal power. He's talking about ethical power. And think of this financial crisis. Crisis in many countries around the world. Crisis brought by many MBAs. Not acting ethically. Not using the moral standards of society. So having the management skills, looking into the leadership skills, blending them together, you can use any framework. You can develop one of your own. And I'll show you in a minute a new book written by Dr. Javed Laghari. And we will see what kind of leadership skills he's talking. Here it is. Speaking of the management skills and the leadership skills, Wizardry of Leadership, that's a new book, just came out, looking at hundreds of traits. According to Dr. Javed Laghari, he says 7 traits are very important, top of the list, top of the line. First, ambition. You must have this trait. Regardless you want to act as a manager or a leader, think of it, ambition. Number 2, confidence. Number 3, charisma. I leave it to you whether you think of charisma as a management skill or leadership skill. Think of it. The next skill or the trait is creativity, empathy, valor, honor. And Dr. Javed Laghari says these are the potions for would-be leaders who would like to become a leader in Pakistan. And then while writing this book, I invite you to take a look on this book and read this book, because wizardry means this is a skill set. This is how you become a wizard. Using these traits, developing these behaviors, developing these skills, you will become a wizard. And Dr. Javed Laghari has shared stories of the role model leaders and managers from Pakistan, different types of leader and leaders around the world. And these are the leaders with leadership quality of a wizard like Harry Potter. Remember Harry Potter? Very famous character among the children's. It's a children's model leader, very beautifully using the character of Harry Potter as a wizard. He's talking about those traits, 7 traits in this book, that if you like to develop this behavior, if you have this trait, people will take you as a wizard. People will take you some role model. He has taken the examples from the business leader of Pakistan, economic leader of Pakistan, moral leader of Pakistan, community leader of Pakistan. Remember, I spoke of Abdustar Eidi. Isn't he a voluntary leader of the world? Think of how many people you will find who have given their life And towards the end of the session, let me recall the leader of Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Use these wizardry, focus on the role model, and then set a scale for you, set a path for you, and I'm sure this will help you to move on into your career. Thank you, and thank you very much, and have a nice learning.